which was launched by our Honorable Chief Minister in August 2021, and which lays out the roadmap for the state in achieving the SDGs. And we also have priority indicators and various action plans and how we plan to achieve that. So the government of Nagaland has also set up the SDG Coordination Center under the Planning and Coordination Department formed in 2019 with technical support from the United Nations Development Programme. And a major part of our work in the SDGCC in the Secretariat is towards mainstreaming, localizing, disseminating and integrating the SDGs across the state at all levels, from government departments to local bodies to the wider communities at large. And this is the reason why I feel this event is important to us today. Because today at this panel and on this floor, we have stakeholders from all walks of life together to deliberate on how the state can effectively implement the SDGs. And this is exactly the kind of proactive and participatory approach that is going to lead Nagaland to the path of improvement and progress in achieving the SDGs. So, coming back to the observation of our moderator, that are we very ambitious in making the Nagaland SDG Vision 2030? Yes, we are ambitious, and ambition is not a bad thing, is it? But the point is that the government alone cannot achieve this ambitious target. We need the support of the communities, we need the support of youth organizations like NFI and CAN Youth and youth leaders to come together and work with the government to achieve this by localizing SDGs, by mainstreaming SDGs, and by sensitizing the communities that we need to achieve this for achieving the progress of our society with optimal utilization of our resources, and that is what SDG is ultimately about. So this is not to say that the path forward is a very smooth road. Challenges are manifold in filling the gaps and achieving the stated developmental targets by 2030. The biggest developmental challenge I feel for the world and Nagaland is to revive and resuscitate from the ravaging effects of the COVID pandemic, because this is something, it's a surprise or a shock that happened to everybody. And I'm not very sure whether we also have completely estimated the losses that we have suffered because of the pandemic. Because that kind of economic analysis, even in an all India level, I'm not very sure how far it has been done. So that is one thing, and we need to pay special focus to those sections of society who are disproportionately affected by the pandemic. Whether it is women, children, or whether it is the small and medium traders, the enterprises, the businesses that have gone out of work and who are not able to come back because they have lost the scale. These are one important thing that I feel we should focus on, and it's a shock that happened to the system. And that is an important priority. And as far as the performance of Nagaland is concerned, Madam has already explained the SDG India Index rankings. So I would like to focus on the NER SDG 2021-22 report, because it is a more disaggregated report on district performance of Nagaland. And we at the government have done a lot of analysis on this, and we have identified certain key focus SDGs that we must focus on which we are really lagging behind. And these are SDG 1, no poverty, SDG 3, good health, SDG 9, industry, innovation and infrastructure, SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities, SDG 12, sustainable consumption and production, and SDG 13, climate action. Another striking feature of Nagaland's performance in these SDG indices is the stark inter-district variations in important parameters such as health, education, access to basic facilities, and financial inclusion. Therefore, if you look at what is going to be a third challenge for Nagaland, it is going to be reducing inequalities. Because, when you talk about inequality, there is a lot of various dimensions to it. It is not just about regional inequality, it is also about gender inequality within the framework of regional inequality. It is also about class inequality, it's also about regional inequality, and addressing all forms of inequality will be very important for Nagaland to march forward in achieving our targets. So when you look at the performance, what's really happening and why are the rankings so low? So I'm just trying to use the thought process that went in the government as well, right? So why are the rankings so low? Is this just a data problem? I mean, if we start updating data a lot more frequently, I believe that, data is very important, and the analytics that you get from data, the insights that data can provide is very important because it serves as a mirror of the problems of the society. That is how I felt when I looked at the NER SDG index and Nagaland performance for the first time. Because if you look at all the indicators, it kind of gives you an indication as to what is the issue and where are we heading towards and what can be done to resolve this issue. These rankings should serve as a reminder of the stark developmental deficits that are in the states and gives us a vision, a focus on how to move forward. So this is the essence of the Nagaland SDG Vision 2030. So should we move forward only with a target that we improve our rankings and then we sit back and say that, okay, our rankings are improved, there's no issue, we can move forward. No, we move forward so that we can bring jobs, security, financial access, good health, education, better livelihood, and stronger institutions to Nagaland. This is the reason why we should move forward, and it is not to improve our rankings alone. As I mentioned before, there are certain focused goals that Nagaland is lagging behind. 3 of these goals are SDG 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities, SDG 12, Sustainable Consumption and Production, and SDG 13, Climate Action. So what's common in these 3 goals? Can someone tell me? SDG 11, 12 and 13. What is common in these 3 goals? It's the word sustainable, right? So even climate action is related to sustainable, right? So more than a challenge. Now let's come to the opportunity part. So more than a challenge, I view this as an opportunity for Nagaland. This is where communitization, a vibrant civil society, and active youth organizations can contribute. By creating pockets of change, by leading the development of homegrown, labor-intensive industries, and develop local sustainable solutions, by harnessing the distinct attributes and resources of our state. Nagaland should be able to lead the way in the entire country in eco-friendly and sustainable solutions to critical problems such as solid waste management, community participation in preservation of common property resources, and self-help group-led women entrepreneurship models. We at the Government of Nagaland are constantly in the process of improvising and strengthening our institutional mechanisms in the state, district as well as village level for better implementation of the SDGs and accelerated progress in achieving the goals. So engaging with multiple stakeholders is a very, very important part of that process. And the local civil society organizations and prominent youth leaders at the local level, we see them as important partners in achieving our SDG localization goals. We would welcome any written policy inputs, suggestions from the stakeholders gathered here on how government policies can be improved with a view to achieving SDGs at large, thereby reflecting on our commitment to achieve the SDGs across the state. I call upon all of us to join hands with a renewed focus on achieving the SDGs by 2030 and fulfilling the Nagaland SDG Vision 2030.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity. I completely concur with what our moderator has said earlier regarding the visions that Nagaland government seems to, sails from time to time. However, as the previous speakers also have already illustrated on various aspects of the Sustainable Development Goals, as well as the challenges and opportunities for the state in achieving that goal, I won't dwell much on that. But my intervention here would rather be a sort of journalistic intervention, giving a brief overview about how the state of affairs has been over the years. If we recall, Nagaland was among the first state in India in 2004 to come up with a vision document called Nagaland's Nagaland State Human Resource Development Report. It was a very great performance, and in that document there was a chapter called Nagaland Vision 2020, highlighting various development goals to be achieved by 2020 to make the state a developed state by 2020. Now, then the Chief Minister, the present Chief Minister, who was starting his first inning as the Chief Minister, during an NEC conference in Shillong, said that it was the developmental trust for the next decade for the state of Nagaland. How the vision works out, that is our lived experience. Again, as the state was traveling with the ways to implement that vision, in 2016, they came up with another called Vision 2030. And in that, I quote, it said, it envisioned the developmental direction and goals of the state in detail. Among others, the vision envisaged to make Nagaland a well-governed, peaceful, inclusive, and prosperous state. Now, not to be left behind, or so to say, again, last year, as the previous speaker has mentioned, Nagaland came out with its own SDG development index, which also highlighted various short-term, long-term, and medium-term strategies to be achieved towards achieving this sustainable development goals. So, seeing all these documents that have been over the years, we can safely assert that if even 50% of these visions had turned into reality, Nagaland would have been a very developed state by now. But the reality, as I mentioned earlier, is our lived experience. So in essence, one can say that Nagaland, the state government of Nagaland, or those at the helms of affairs, are very good at waving dreams, but bad realizing it, or in other words, good in theory, but very poor and practical, sort of. And when we are envisioning dreams and visions time and time again, national statistics that come out periodically, comparing states or even territories, often came as a wake-up call for us. Right? So, if we look at the sustainable development goals as mentioned by previous speakers, that was launched in 2018. During the past year, Nagaland was in 23 among the 28 states. Next year, it improves a little bit to 19. But again, in 2020, it decreases to 19. Sorry, in 2019 it was 19, and in 2020 it was 19. Now, if we look at some of the parameters that Nagaland is governing well, these are all environment-related goals, which I should say we are naturally endowed with. Environment-related goals as well as social institution. But if we look at the parameters that are crucial and involved with the daily governance and have a very good impact, much impact on the life of the common people, we are lacking on that. For example, quality education, health care, keeping up decent economic growth and innovation infrastructure. In all this, our state seems to be in a downward spiral, I should say. show us that our first panelist is rightly admitted was come in terms of the AER index that was dashboard that was launched last year. If you look at that dashboard, the best ranked district in Nagaland, Kohima, was ranked 70 among 103 district in the Northeast. Now, except from Kohima and Dimapur, all the other districts were in the bottom 20. And most importantly, 5 of them were in the last bottom 5. So, we can sometimes question the methodology that is being adopted to measure such parameters, such indicators, but constant constant result or studies from different organizations also attest to such a situation. So, as stated earlier, Nagaland is in better position because of remarkable performance on goals associated with social distribution as well as environmental related parameters, more by natural endowment rather than any other policy intervention. Those three crucial goals are, in these three crucial goals, however, in 2020, there was a fall: sustainable consumption and production, life on land and peace, justice and strong distribution. But there was a marginal improvement under the overall score as stated. But in quality education as well as economic spheres, I mean, it don't need to be mentioned that Nagaland is on in the lower spectrum of the development scale. So, one question that needs to be asked is how, when we, I should say the vision, SDG Vision 2020 documents, 2021 documents that the Nagaland government launched recently, it's a very comprehensive document. We can't see any gap on that or such as give any suggestion for improvement, because it's the best mind of the state and from outside came together to formulate the policy. But the problem is at the implementation level, and this put into question the crucial and pertinent question of governance and how these messages or how these visions are implemented at the ground level. So these are something that we can discuss during the discussion hour. One thing that I feel very pertinent to inform here is that the SDG goals for Nagaland is the implemented the Nodal agency, if I'm not mistaken, is the Planning and Coordination Department. Right? Now, if we look at the present situation now, the Planning and Development Department itself doesn't have a website. I will be corrected if I'm wrong, but they have a website, but it's not there now. We don't have a CC dashboard. Yeah, there's a dashboard to be there, but so far I haven't seen that. So my question is, if that is the case, how do we move forward from here? So that's the question that I need to raise. I want to raise here. Other discussion we can table during the discussion. Thank you.